such as nature reserves, agricultural land, and parks, for example, and seeing the balance between them and managing it for the good and the benefit of each other, each one of the needs and the government decisions. And today I'm going to speak with you a little bit about urban agriculture. The context, why it's necessary. We will have a discussion maybe why it's necessary. Is it feasible or applicable in your places, or examples that you've already seen about it. Maybe we can start by that. Someone have encountered some urban agriculture project, business, phenomena in your places, urban agriculture? People in the city or the outskirts of the city which grow food, not in the field, not separate from the homes?
We have.
Yes, where for example?
In Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, yeah, we have some companies who grow hydroponic in the city family, yeah.
Interesting. For families, so it's a home systems,
For
not
private
for commercial scale.
The commercial scale, and they grow the hydroponics plant in the apartment. In the parking place, and they provide for the family live in the apartment.
Amazing. So all the buildings are providing for themselves. Are they growing it on the roof or on the soil?
We grow in the water.
In the water.
Sometimes we grow in the soil. Yes.
Mm-hmm. But where is located? Near the building or on top of the building? On top. Amazing. And it's a private initiative or a company or a government? Company. Very nice. This is very advanced, and we're aspiring to reach these kind of models also here. And I will speak about more. Anyone else have encountered urban agriculture?
Yeah, I've encountered one in Kenya. In the city whereby a private company to come and set for you an urban garden. You have a place where maybe in the balcony, or maybe you have a small place in front of your house. You set a garden specifically for vegetables farming.
So the company sets up the garden for you, and you are to take care of it.
Yeah,
and
it's for all the drips and everything. You own this on
It's a local company for self-consumption.
Yeah.
With the family itself, not commercial. Very interesting balance between commercial and private. As we're going to see, the gradient or the options for urban agriculture varies greatly between commercial businesses and between even the growing method, the productivity scale. So let's start just in general context. The urban agriculture is so important, it's such a key part, and agriculture in general of the SDGs, the Global Sustainability Goals of the UN, which almost all nations who participated in Paris 2015 committee and agreement have aligned their strategy towards these goals. These 17 goals, sorry. We can find at least 4 or 5 of them that refer directly to agriculture and the resources that agriculture demands, which means that I will try to discuss with you if the urban agriculture can promote these SDGs via changing the agricultural resources management or habits. No poverty, for example. Of course, agriculture can be a source of income or a source of food, which prevents you from spending outside more. Hunger, of course, zero hunger. Good health. Yeah, we can try to discuss why the urban agriculture or small-scale agriculture can promote your health, work and economics, energy, etc., etc. So this is the large context. And the local context is that even though Jerusalem, at least west of Jerusalem, might appear, how to say, very European style or developed economic, we have up to, I'm sorry, some of the things will be still in Hebrew, but I will translate it to you, and the others is translated in the slide. Jerusalem, it's a graph, official graph of the state, which demonstrates the food insecurity or healthy food insecurity access in Jerusalem and other big cities in Israel. You can see that Jerusalem is the first one. 30% of Jerusalem families, households, and kids, it's even higher, are under danger group, under risk of food insecurity, and 19% of them are under severe danger of food insecurity. Most of these households will be located in the east and the north of Jerusalem, which are characteristics for ultra-Orthodox Jewish religious communities, which tends from time to time to be poorer, and also to don't have a fixed work or income. And the others are East Jerusalem, which is Arab Palestinian communities, which are also under developed high unemployment rate and vernacular and unplanned landscape, which means villages which were swollen or taken by urban sprawl and by political circumstances. Okay, so in Jerusalem, the urban agriculture and these solutions are crucial and necessary. It's not just a nice to have or an economic endeavor that you want to perform. The importance of urban agriculture starts with seeing the city as an ecological system. We're used to speak about nature reserves and about forest land and even about open space, whichever its nature will be, as the ecological system. But nowadays, when you have more than 50% of the world living in cities and more than 92% in Israel, 92, you've heard right, 92% of the people in Israel live in cities. It means that we have one big metropolitan in the scale of many of your countries. Because it's such a small scale, we have one city which is very wide across the country. So the fact that we want to observe the city and study it as an ecological system, functioning, brings us to use the terms about global footprint, ecological footprint. You are familiar with the term? Some of you? The ecological footprint, some of you know it. It means the calculation of your standard of life, which kind of food you consume, how many times you fly every year, if your house is an apartment or a big house with a yard, and it calculates how much Earth, planets you need if everyone in the world would live like you. It's very funny and it's very interesting to examine that. You can do it. It's ecological footprint or footprint.com. It's open for everybody. You can do the test. And for me, it was, I think, 2.6, which is not a lot. I know people that you need 5, or the average in America, in the USA, it's 5 planets. You need 5 resources of planets similar to Earth to sustain the high standard of life of each person. So if we make efficient more the food system, we can ameliorate this situation on a global scale, the footprint situation. Second of all is the city itself. We want to see the city as an ecological system, which means that the city brings in, for example, you can think what the city imports. I mentioned here water, food, other consumption goods. For example, what else do you bring in the city which is not produced in the city? For example, the basic needs of the city inhabitants, which you have to bring in. You cannot make it in the city. You have any ideas of things like that?
Food.
Yeah, goods. Any consumption goods like that factories make. The factories are also not in the city usually. Maybe in the outskirts. For example, plastic. Then fuels. I didn't translate this one. Fuel and energy. You produce it outside and you bring it in. But then we ask ourselves, what is the balance? What we bring out as well? All the water that we bring in, we send it out as wastewater. The food that we bring in, we send out as waste. And we're not keeping any kind of the energy and closing the circle here in the city. If we manage to do that, our impact, our footprint, all the negative effect of the open space and of the nature scape will decrease if we manage to treat in the city more of our pollution that we produce, or to produce in the city more things that we consume in the city. like this, we can look at this system as a more closed system and an actual ecological system with the human factor in the center. Okay? If you have any question or any comment, or it is an open discussion, feel free. Okay?
Yes.
Someone? No. So on the global scale, economically, we have an opportunity with urban agriculture, and I will try to make it short, to fight or propose an alternative for global scale companies. For example, many of you might know Monsanto. It's a big seed company and herbicide company and many agricultural related patent company, which works only on very large scales. They work in the US, they work in India very strongly, and practically all over the world, in Europe less and less. But what is common here with all these products, that they contain materials that are extracted or made from, you recognize this?
Corn.
From corn, right. So all of these contain and consist parts of the plant, of the fruit, of the corn itself. And this fact allows the companies that sells the corn seeds or the herbicides or can sustain and work with very large scale farms in big countries usually. They allow them to control almost all processed foods in the market are dependent on these big agricultural companies, because all of them have in common, and they use the same strains, the same nation, like Israel size big fields. And with urban agriculture we have an economical system, an opportunity to work on micro scale farms and do it in more small scale and local scale, which this has a very big opportunity to offer to the world for a different economy system. Okay, you don't have to just go and buy your corn or your corn seeds from a big company, or buy all the products that are all of them produced in the same method, in the same place, and the same health properties, which might be sometimes negative if you use pesticides or herbicides or very large scale practices. And here we can offer different methods, for example, even for the economical system. We have the option of CSA, which you will see later with Yoni downstairs in the hill with this greenhouse. CSA, it's community supported agriculture. He will speak more about the model, but it means that you don't have to get big loans and credits from banks or from big companies such as Monsanto in order to set up a huge farm, and you're dependent on them economically to sustain your field. But you have people that are obligated to you because they are your neighbor, they are interested in more healthy or organic food, and they are paying maybe 3 months in advance or even more than that as clients. And then you have your credit from your clients, and you have the community supported agriculture. This is one method. Other methods are co-ops, cooperatives, for example. You set up a field or you set up a growing system which is productive and can sustain your needs. Okay, you have the produce that you need on daily basis, but you don't need to have a grower, an agricultural system company outside. You have the shares of this growing system. Each person buys a plot of buckets or a part of an hydroponic system, and we all grow together in this place. We make everyone our share, our part, our co-op share. We make this together, the company, and this is have also a legal status in Israel. You can be, I assume that everywhere else, you can be a company that is owned by many people who also run the company. Okay, so this allows you to make, for example, a local economical system here for growing. And I will try to go faster, but the fact that you have different scales in the urban agriculture allows you to observe it as a very varied market. You don't have to be a company or a co-op. You can do it on small scale for yourself, as what you mentioned in Kenya. You can do it in the school or with your NGO, with your organization, and each kind of management system or organization characteristic that is possible, you can do on a different scale. For example, I imagine that if you do it as an organization or in the school, it will be in limited scale. Thus, the productivity not necessarily will be harmed, because you produce exactly for your consumer, and you produce regarding the needs. Okay, you can bring closer, for example, greeny leaves, tomatoes, and every tea or spices that you want to grow. But the large scale, the very big crops like corn or grain, yes, wheat, rice, you cannot do it on your doorstep because you need larger scale. So you can choose the scale and the organization scale of the urban agriculture system, competent to your needs and the availability of space that you have. Okay? So when I speak about the economical side, that doesn't mean that you have to set up a company. We see all kinds of organization and phenomena, even in Israel, which is only the first seedlings in the new project of urban agriculture. Is it worthy? It's a big question. We speak about the commercial part and the monetary nominal value of money that you gain from the fresh produce that you make yourself. We ask ourselves whether it's worthy, whether you can compete, for example, for green leaf bundle that you buy, whether you can compete the price of 1 to 4 shekels that you can buy it in the market of Jerusalem, for example, when you grow, when you dedicate your time and your water resources, etc. Is it worth it? The question is a big question mark, but the answer is multi-level and layer to confront, because the answer can be another interest that is not counted in this price of monetary value of money. Okay, it's like the pleasure, the health, and etc. Many other things. And also we can see that when we grow on a meso scale, on a middle scale, not a small scale and not a normal scale, we can actually compete and produce in quite a good and close price to bigger and larger producers that we're used to buy in the supermarket normally. So the answer is a little bit complex. I will leave it to your thoughts and discussion. But I want to mention the other values that urban agriculture might have. For example, when we're bringing our food sources closer, we will have higher freshness and nutritional value, which is not counted in the price. Okay? And this is not all the list of externalities. If you're familiar with the name, externalities is the cost and other factors that are not counted in the price. These factors might have environmental consequences, health consequences, etc. These are not exactly the externalities, but these are the benefits that we can get from bringing our food system closer. Okay? For example, nutritional value. Food miles and food waste, it's very crucial when you travel far. When you produce in California, all the lettuce of the United States, all of it, and then you have to travel 1,500 kilometers, around 1,000 miles to Chicago, which is freezing and you cannot grow outside. You spend a lot of gas, which costs money and also pollution, and you lose the freshness. The vegetable will live less time on the shelf or in your house. Then you increase the food waste. Okay, you throw away good food because of these miles that you have to cross. When you do urban agriculture, you can release the land use of agriculture to nature preservation. You can release it for other crops that are needed. Okay, you can use smarter the land. You can use and put to use neglected areas in the urban scape, which might have been hazardful. For example, deserted industrial zones, which is very common in some cities, or rooftops that are today we're using only for heaters or for infrastructure. and many other advantages. That the fact that you bring the food system closer might affect also your household and health, but also the city management and open spaces management. In urban agriculture, we can assume, you can see this graph, I'm sorry, this is the graph of population growth and also of production in Israel since the 1950s until the 1990. You can see that the population have grown almost exponentially or linearly in the beginning, and then the vegetable production around 1995 or 2000 started to decline and reach some kind of plateau for various reasons, land use reason, water resources which are treated water or desalinated water, and many other reasons. The production per unit area is quite on a plateau and doesn't have a change and doesn't have any amelioration or a better status or better productivity since almost 1995. This is not a very popular factor. Not everyone, especially from official governments, will tell that, but these are stats of the Israeli organism that Bureau of Statistics, the Central Bureau of Statistics, it's official statistics. And therefore, we can discuss that in the urban area, when you will have, for example, a small area, you cannot produce on a big field. In urban area also, we can find many sources of pollution. For example, you have any ideas what kind of pollutants are the city produce, which reaches the land later?
Sewage.
Again, sorry?
Sewage.
Cement, for example.
Sewage.
Sewage, exactly. Sewage floods might leave greasy acids, greasy acids in the soil up to 70 years. You need many composting cycles and washing cycles in order to rehabilitate soil from sewage leak. Then you have home cleaning materials and oils from the cars, which are constantly dripping. Again, find their way to urban open spaces. Then we have air pollutants that are dropping with rain, from airborne polluted, usually from cars. And the big thing is construction litter. The construction, when you build a lot of powder and other metal-related materials are flying in an uncontrollable way and disperse in the environment. Therefore, the soil in the city will not be all the time safe to use for this agriculture. So this is a bit of a paradox. Of course, we can test the soil and also treat it. But the fact is that if you want to produce a lot and use neglected land in the city and be safe on the safe side, health-wise, you will grow above ground. You will grow in tanks with imported soil, with treated soil, with water, like hydroponics that you mentioned. Maybe aeroponic, it's even on air spray. I heard that they do it a lot I read that they do it a lot in Africa, South America, and some Southeast Asian countries for the growing of mini tuber potatoes. Just spraying water with nutrients on the roots of the plant and produce almost 10 times higher produce. I want to emphasize this fraction of data. You can use above ground methods on water growing or water spray growing, or even tanks with imported soil, and you will get 3 to 10 more times more produce than in the soil. You know, it has a crucial meaning to have 10 times more per unit, especially when we see this graph. How we produce these days. So we have a very large scale of opportunities of how to use the urban scape as agricultural space in small scale, organization scale, or commercial scale, or a big scale. And you can see just a photo of Chicago's green roof system, with some of the roof are, this is the municipality of Chicago website. They showed all the green dots are green roofs in Chicago, and look how important it is for the city management and for the appearance of the city, when such a big concentration of green roofs are located in the city center. Some of it are just recreational or parks on the roofs, but some of it are also agricultural. And us in the hub, we have already the second year, the third cycle of a special system to support entrepreneurs and other communities that have ideas for a project of urban agriculture specifically. So we do an incubator, which helps the entrepreneur to learn his needs, his environment, his partners, all what a business plan consists and contains, which means he will try to focus and achieve his goals, even perform and bring to reality his project. We had already 9 initiatives, very various and in very different scales, which we try to support in a holistic way, which consists of work plan, economic system, economic plan, external advisor, partnerships and networking. And we are trying to help local entrepreneurs in that method of incubation, of a program that gives you your necessities, okay, all what you need as an entrepreneur. And it's not a course, it's very specific to the needs of the entrepreneur. And we have also courses that are one method and one system for everybody, but this is the incubation system that we run, that people maybe like you, that have some kind of idea of a project or setting up a business or an initiative of urban agriculture, to see with them what they need, what are their resources, what is the obstacle, and try to work on it for a period of 6 months each time. Okay, so we can even send you materials on that and try to give you tools and to do the same if you're interested. Other things that we do in the hub to support urban agriculture is to produce knowledge. This is a paper that we wrote in the hub in order to give information to the entrepreneur and the people that are interested in urban agriculture how to do it. We also bring from other places, for example, New York municipality or some researching institutes, papers which are called usually toolkit, manual, very practical tools in order to plan your project. And we have them available online, and we put it and facilitate the access to them by the papers we produce. Okay, this is also for our entrepreneurs. We're trying to show examples from the world, precedents and innovation projects which do the same, that we can adopt and bring them here. For example, this is from Taiwan. This is one project that we showed as a studies case. And other than that, as I mentioned, special programs for the entrepreneur and the networking for them. Here you can see the list of all the around 80 people that work on agriculture, on urban agriculture in Israel. We have them in one place, like we used to have before, a book with all the numbers of the telephone numbers. You saw that? I think in most places it stopped to exist, but they used to be by the city or by the neighborhood or by some kind of field of business, a book with the names and the details, the contact details of everybody. And we did the same thing for the urban agriculture. And the options how to do it are very varied. I will just show you a few pictures of projects that I've seen myself around the world. This is, for example, in Grenoble, in the south of France. It's just a rooftop of a community center parking lot. Okay, and they just set up with almost nothing, only drainage point and soil in different layers. This is all what they need. Of course, the productivity will not be as high as I mentioned, not 4 times or 10 times more, but this is on a community scale very feasible and very nice. Other methods, it's set up a whole roof. For example, one of the parking lots of the stadium in, if I don't mistake, it's in Boston. And then just you set up your lot from a wooden structure with soil, imported soil. Usually it will be peat with clay or peat with volcanic ash or volcanic stones. And this is a very productive kind of soil. And you can just set it up on a vacant space. And this is a larger scale. Even in your garden, the same method as we've seen before. And many other methods. This is a green rooftop on Jerusalem city center. Okay, there's an old shopping mall which uses the same method. You can put the soil just on the floor of the roof, for example, and just make isolation for water and drainage as it is, and just put the soil on it and create an actual field on the roof. This is a project I did also in Jerusalem. It was temporary, but still, it's a field of barley on the roof of the municipality of Jerusalem. You can see that the growing medium here is a very small white particle which are called perlite, which is volcanic, as I mentioned, volcanic stone or volcanic ash, which is very porous. It has many small holes and can consist of a large quantity of water and nutrients, and is very light. You can use it on rooftops. And as well as what we've seen before, as hydroponics. I will come back to the hydroponics picture. And I wanted to ask you if you have seen anything here, for example, that is feasible or that is touching a specific opportunity or thought you have about the situation in your places, in your country. If you think that urban agriculture is feasible and you can do it in your places, and in what way? Someone has an idea? Have you seen something that is applicable, you can do it in your places? Something that might be done in your city, around in some organization, you know? No? Nothing good. Yes?
Yeah.
No, go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I've seen, like, we have the hydroponic, we have the pots, and the garden. My place back at Kenya can work very nicely. In fact, the one hydroponic in the cities, and also the gardens, because we have bigger space in the cities, in the parking places, and also on the rooftops. So in terms of using the pots and the bags, you have the list bags where you put soil inside, then you make some holes and maybe plant some vegetables inside.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity.
It's a good opportunity can work.
For example, it's on 2 different scales. For example, we have hydroponics, which is the most advanced and maybe costly to set up. To set up all this system, it might be quite expensive. And the other method, it will be just the bags. You can take bags of rice or any dry food, or it's hard plastic, or even other kind of fiber, fill it up with the same kind of imported soil or perlite, and then just make holes in the bags and grow it. This you can do in your household even. You can do in your household. You can teach other people to do, and it's very, very simple. And the other extreme will be this hydroponic, which is in a costly greenhouse, but can be done also, for example, in a balcony. You have these channels, which are infrastructure for electricity channels. It's plastic electricity channels that you just drill holes in, and with the pump of a home-scale aquarium, of even, like they put the fishes, koi fish or any other fish, and you circulate the water with a little bit of nutrient, powder or liquid, and you get very fast growth. And it's feasible also on one channel like this, and also on a huge greenhouse of 1,000 square meters. So this is one growing method compatible for both cases, and the other one in the bags can be done on a home scale and even without a lot of guidance. Another idea?
Yes, I'm interested about the hydroponic system because in our place we have 3 seasons. Hot season we didn't find out our food, fresh food. So maybe that kind of hydroponic system will help us. Because I live in a city, so during the summer season it is expensive food you have to buy it from the market, and of course you don't know where they are from, organic or what else we don't know. So if we have a chance to do like that, I have an idea to build a hydroponic, but I don't have any technique like to mix nutritious, to use volcano ash, volcano stone, and we don't know about anything. I don't know about anything there. I think if I can build that, or if I can have opportunity, I think it will be the first person to do in my place.
Interesting. I'm sure, yeah.
I have a question for you. As we are talking about healthy food and urban agriculture,
Yes.
and what are the effects of pollution in that urban agriculture?
There might be an effect of pollution. The pollution usually will be on greeny leaves and through the soil. Air pollution is debatable if it has a direct effect. And also, most of the time when we will grow in the cities, we will try to isolate the growing medium by some mean or another from the environment. For example, there is some kind of a net that you can put on the plants to make it organic, to prevent most of the insects, and also to prevent pollution particles. The nets are coming in very different kind of mesh, can be very small and very more larger, or even a greenhouse, or even plastic sometimes. So this is one option for green leaves only. But the problem will be if the soil is polluted. This you can test. It might be a little bit expensive for the household, but for a big project you might send a test of the soil, and it's not such a big cost, and they will tell you exactly if you can use it or not. Other method is just to put it above ground in a soil that you bring from the outside. And if you grow a fruit or vegetables that is not greeny leaf, the fruit itself will not contain usually pollutants, because the body of the metabolism of the plant is like a natural filter for it. And also, if the land is very rich in nutrients, it will be also rich with bacteria and fungi that are decomposing the pollutants, even the hardest pollutants like oils or others. So the only the danger in my eyes is for greeny leaves and from air pollution. So it is an issue, but we can deal with that, and it's a quite specific issue.
Thank you.
Someone else? Question? I think the hydroponic opportunity was very interesting and very good. The hardware for the aqua or hydroponic is very simple to purchase, even in any retail store for home goods and infrastructure. The knowledge is available online. I can even send you somehow the details. And today you can buy fertilizer in the way that you don't have to understand the chemistry and exactly the quantities you have to mix.
Yes.
They tell you put 3 drops of the blue bottle and then 5 drops from the red bottle. You mix it in 10 liters of water. It's like a recipe. Very easy, and you don't have to have this knowledge. So it's a real opportunity for you. And okay, I hope it was beneficial and interesting for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.